Hello. Welcome. I'm Don Fortner. I'm the music director here at First Presbyterian. And our pastor is here tonight. Darren, say hello, will you? To Darren and his wife, Shauna. Anyway, we're always thrilled to have guests in the church, so nice to see all of you. Some of you are not guests, so how many of you are not guests this evening? How many are members here? Wow. We're outnumbered. Anyway, we're thrilled to have you here. This is a cooperative venture between our church and between the Granite City Folk Society, who brings in these wonderful musicians for us to listen to. Tonight we have Rupert Wates here this evening. My job is to tell you how to get out of here. So if something should happen, if Rupert's hair catches on fire or something crazy like that, you're going to go straight back and came in the way you came in. If you don't feel like you can take much time to go that way, there's a set of doors right back here that you can get out too. The restrooms are straight back and to the left. Once you get into that hallway out of the narthex area, the bathrooms are on the left. Would you all please silence your phones and your iPads and whatever computer gear you brought with you tonight. And then I'm going to turn it over to Russell, who's going to tell you a little bit about Granite City Folk Society and introduce Rupert to you. So, Russell, thank you.
It's been a while since I've done this. 3 years, actually. So I have to have notes. I'm 3 years older and that much more senile. Anyway, first of all, there's a lot of thanking to do. All of you here, first of all, for showing up. And the society has patrons and benefactors and donors and contributors. Those are all actual categories on our website. And we thank them for keeping us going. Some of them are listed by name, some are anonymous, all are welcome. We have an email list, by the way, and some of you are probably already on it, but if you want to get on it, you should get on it, because that lets you know what we'll be up to. No salesman will call, although an itinerant banjo player or two may wind up at your back door with a tin cup. Anyway, working our way up the organizational ladder, this organization is funded in part by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Central Minnesota Arts Board, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, which amounts to thank you all again for paying your taxes and presumably voting for this government program. We're supposed to be suspicious of it, but I don't really mind. Now, to tonight's business. Oh, one more thing. The last event, more or less, of our season will be a house concert. Mean Mary, who's an itinerant banjo player, as it happens, but without a tin cup, is doing a house concert at Paul and Karen Imholt's home on August 16. I recall. Paul, if I'm right, nod your head. Yes. Okay. Good. I'm terrible with numbers. Let's say it's not ticketed. You should look on our website or our Facebook page and get Paul and Karen's phone number and talk to them about access. Seating, as they say, is limited. Fun is not, but all right. But now to tonight. I wrote stuff down. I should have been introducing Rupert 3 years ago. You were booked here just before the plague hit us. So this is I had to get up to date, and I have questions. Rupert is London-born, Oxford-educated, but now a New Yorker. Yes, a New Yorker, and therefore a star of the Americana circuit. And I'm still trying to square all those things. Perhaps you'll explain that too. Yeah, okay. The other thing is there's a photo of Rupert, I think it's on your website, of you with the 1956 Chevy Bel Air station wagon, and I want to hear the story behind that.
For the photo shoot. So if you're all expecting me to roll up in a Chevy, no, Mad, I'm sorry, it's going to be disappointing. I rented it for that photo. And the suit as well. So.
I wasn't going to mention the suit. I figured a guy who lives in New York has got a suit like that with the black shirt and the black tie and stuff, you know. Anyway, please welcome Rupert Waite and his three Loudon guitars.
Thank you. Well, thanks so much, Russell, for doing such careful research. How are we all doing this evening? Oh, that's nice. Well, I was talking to some ladies earlier on and they said, you better be good to justify our coming in out of the beautiful evening. So I'm going to do my best to compete with the sun. Took me a long time to get here, but I'm glad to be here. This is one of my older songs and it just kind of sets the mood for a show. It's called Happy to Be Here. So, ladies, I hope you're happy to be here. Hope you stay that way. I'm happy to be here. It may be right or wrong, it may come rain or shine, it may be short or long, not sweet or bitter wine. I don't care no more, 'cause I'm happy to be here. The people come and go like the changing weather, and even though I know that nothing lasts forever, I don't care no more, 'cause I'm happy to be here. What's the reason for the wonder? I'm so glad to be alive. I saw no lightning, heard no thunder. I only looked into your eyes, oh my darling. So let the rain come down, let the sun shine on us. The happiness we found is never taken from us. We'll go on and on, being happy to be here. It may be right or wrong, it may come rain or shining, maybe short or long, not sweet or bitter wine. I don't care no more. I'm so happy to be here. And I don't care no more, 'cause I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with you. So I'm happy to be here with you. Thanks so much, everybody. So you may be wondering why I've got three guitars up here on the stage. Well, the reason is that actually Paul booked a trio for you this evening. So what I'm going to do is run very quickly between each guitar and give you the impression there's actually 3 musicians up here. Well, the real reason is that they're all in different tunings. I know there's at least a couple of guitar players. Hands up the guitar players in the room. I knew there'd be a few of them. Well, I love to play for guitar players because we kind of appreciate each other. And this is a little love song, and this guitar, by the way, is in a tuning which I stole from Joni Mitchell, one of my favorite imitators, Joni Mitchell. This is a C major chord with a G in the top, a G chord in the top. Little love song called I'm Amazed. I'm amazed by your love.
I don't need the mountains, and I don't need the trees. I don't need the splendor of the sun that shines on me. Well, I don't need the treasures buried out at sea. Well, I don't need the lovely gardens of antiquity. I've traveled far, and all that I've seen left me cold, twisted and scarred. Nothing could move in my soul. But I'm amazed by your love when I gaze in your eyes. I hope it stays with me now and all the days of my life. Dreams claw at me in the night, they whisper of tragedies not yet come to light. We must hold on to these precious times when I'm here by your side and you hover mine. Out on the road, though you are far from me, everywhere I go, wonder is all that I see. It's better than the mountains, better than the trees. It's better than the splendor of the sun that shines on me. It's better than the treasures buried out at sea. It's better than the lovely gardens of antiquity. I'm amazed by your love when I gaze in your eyes. I hope it stays with me now and all the days of my life. 'Cause I'm amazed by your love when I gaze in your eyes. I hope it stays with me now and all the days of my life.
Hey, thanks, folks. It's so nice to come out and play for real people again. You are real people, aren't you? You're not holograms. Oh my God, I got so tired of playing to my laptop all through the pandemic on the lockdown. You know, it's just not the same. But here we are again, real people in one room. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and supporting live music. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Jay, who's running the sound this evening. Could you give a round of applause to Jay?
can't tell you what a difference it makes to have somebody who knows what they're doing running the sound. So what about me? Who am I? Let me tell you all about myself. It's my favorite subject. All songwriters do is talk about themselves. You know that by now. So the name is Rupert. One of those names that says, I don't come from Minnesota. But that's okay, it kind of helps to set me apart a little bit. So I come from London, England. I'll tell you more about that later. So that's my first name. Second name is Wates. W-A-T-E-S. So the whole thing reads, Rupert Wates. Well, what does Rupert wait for? Well, he waits to play Granite City Folk Club, that's one thing. Took us 2 years. So much of life is waiting. This is called waiting to begin. When I was a little boy, the world was like a Christmas toy, life a game that I was sure to win, and I'm waiting to begin. Work hard and get ahead, in time all things will come, they said. That was only so much spin, and I'm waiting to begin. Waiting to begin. I'm waiting to begin. Still waiting to begin. I'm still waiting to begin. I never crossed the starting line. The race has left me far behind. I'm no longer in my prime. Still the siren voices sing. They're calling from the promised land, stolen from me by some sleight of hand. Life's a shadow of the one that I planned, until I find the real thing. I'm waiting to begin. Still waiting to begin. I'm waiting to begin. I'm still waiting to begin. Days come and go, and all I really know is that I'm slowly getting older. No more time to waste, find the joy in the race. It's already halfway over. Let me do all that I intend. I'm gonna give all that I have to spend. The road is rushing towards the end, but I'm waiting to begin. I'm waiting to begin. Waiting to begin. Still waiting to begin. I'm still waiting to begin. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. So I come from London, England, and this is one of my oldest songs. I wrote it about 25 years ago now, when I was about 3, give or take. It's not that funny. No, I've been 28 for a long time now, put it like that. It's a great age to be. But this really is one of my oldest songs. This was written in the early 90s, I guess it was, in London, and perhaps for that reason it's largely or partly about rain. And I think that we can agree that we've come through a long period of spiritual rain in the last couple of years here in the US, everywhere in the world. The rain, I feel, perhaps I'm being over-optimistic, but I feel that it is largely behind us. COVID will be part of life, but I'm sure you agree that we can see the light at the edge of the tunnel and the light around the dark clouds, and we look out of our windows and see the world as beautiful as ever, glittering and shaking and trembling with raindrops as it dries,
full of promise and saying, yes, I'm still here for you to come out and enjoy me as you did before. One other thing about this song is also that it features the image of an eagle. And I wrote this before I came to America, but I've subsequently realized that the eagle, of course, is one of the symbols of America. So this song could be about America at this very moment in its history, after the rains. So this is called After the Rains.
The eagle shakes his feathers dry after the rains are gone, makes his home the wide blue sky after the rains are gone, and callers waiting to amaze are open to the gentle rays of the day to come after the rains are gone. And we will walk in clearer lights after the rains are gone, and we will see with clearer sights after the rains are gone. And when the rain dries on our cheeks to leave us on our mountain peak, then we will hear our vision speak. After the rains are gone, far from the thunder's reach, we'll hear a different song, love calling each to each, and through the mist of joy and pain, the morning bird will sing again, although the night was long. And if no trace of us remains to say we've walked in love's domain, his will be our song after the rains are gone. The eagle shakes her feathers dry after the rains are gone, makes her home the clear blue sky after the rains are gone, after the rains are gone.
Thanks so much, everybody. So here's the third guitar and the third musician for your entertainment this evening. Here's the bass player. I want to tell you about the big event that took place in my life in the last 2 years, second only, of course, to playing Granite City folk. The other big event was that I became a father. Would you believe? Thank you. That does always get a round of applause, but really I didn't do very much. It was my wife that did all the hard work, you know. So my son Gabriel was born March 2020 in New York City, which is where we're based. What a great time and place to choose. Couldn't hardly have been worse. And in fact, if he'd been born on his due date, which was 1 week later, I would not have been allowed in the hospital, because by that time they were turning away everybody from the maternity ward except the mother, because they were so scared of COVID, with good reason, at that time. So I would have missed one of the great, moving, most powerful, memorable events in my life if he'd been born on time. So he was a little bit early, and for once, you know, to get there early was a good thing. And as I was going in and out of the hospital, which is a big place on the Upper West Side of New York, I would come in through a set of revolving doors, big revolving doors going round and round, and someone would come out as I was going in, and we'd often meet briefly in the entryway. And being a songwriter, I thought, well, what a wonderful analogy for life. Here we are in the doorway of a big hospital at the start of a global pandemic. I'm coming in and someone's coming out, and we meet and we part in the doorway of life. Well, I had to write a song based on that image, so here's the song which I wrote. I'm going to sing to my son Gabriel when he is of an age. He's not quite of an age just yet, though he does love music, and in particular, he loves my music. Which proves that he's got a lot of discernment. Great taste. Anyway, so the image that came into my mind from that revolving door was the idea of the horses at the fun fair to which we often take Gabriel. The horses going up and down and round and round. One comes into sight and one disappears from sight, and they go round and round. So that's the idea that came to my mind for this song. This is called the Carnival Waltz. The Carnival Waltz. So I think there's a bit of a hum there, isn't there, too? Should I maybe turn it up this way? That might be better. Let's try that. Better. Carnival Waltz.
All the pretty horses go round and round, painted in colors so gay, prancing and dancing while the music plays. And so many people are standing in line, waiting to take a ride. Some may be happy, and some may be hurting inside. As long as the wheel keeps turning, we'll watch them all go by. Some say hello, and some are waving goodbye. For every face that is passing from us, another will always come round. And all we've lost someday will surely be found. Round and round they go, round and round they go, round and round they go. All the pretty horses go up and down, painted in their colors so gay, prancing and dancing while the music plays. And every good friend that we've lost on the way someday will come to the sound, and we are all riding the merry-go-round. Round and round we go, round and round we go. Round and round we go.
Thank you. So much. So I'd like to mention that I do have some CDs for sale. Not everybody, hardly anybody buys CDs these days. But I will always go on thinking in terms of CDs as a writer, because for me it's like a broad canvas on which you paint. Each song is a sketch or a part of the whole broader canvas. And that gives me an incentive to write songs on a given theme and in a given style with a given sound, because I think that CDs are more than just a random collection of songs. They should have a guiding principle, and they should tell a story. So if you as a listener download songs here and there, two things happen. One is that you miss a lot of the meaning that I want you to have, that I want you to hear in that song according to the place that I've given it in my CD. It has a certain place in the CD because of the songs on either side of it, so you miss that if you download it. Secondly, if you download it, I don't get as much money. And I want to mention that my CDs have nutritional value, because if you buy them, I eat. Thank you. So don't feel under any pressure. Anyway, I want to dedicate this next one to my new friend Andy, who is, I'm sure you know, is a folk DJ or DJ in the area, and he mentioned that he played my 2020 CD, which is called Lamentations. So how did I come up with that title? Well, I was looking into the Bible one day, which is not a book, to be honest, that I read as often as I should. But there I was looking in the Bible, and I came across a book called Lamentations, and I went, bing! There's the title for my next CD. It's going to be a bunch of lamentations. So here is Lamentations.
Once I was lovely, once I was young, once I rejoiced in the light of the sun. Once the pure waters flowed straight to my well. Now I sing lamentations to heaven or hell. The keys of a kingdom were thrown at my feet. A table was laden with all I could eat. Now I beg them to feed me through the bars of a cell, and I sing lamentations from heaven or hell. Lord, if you're listening from so far away, to all the dim voices that whisper and pray, show us your mercy, tell us all shall be well, while we sing lamentations from heaven or hell. Once I was golden, once I was young, and I danced in the light of the moon and the sun. Now I've grown weary of the sound of the bell, and I sing lamentations from heaven or hell. And I sing lamentations to heaven or hell.
Thanks so much, everybody. That was for Andy. Thank you. So I want to do a song based on a true story. Do a lot of songs based on true stories. Actually, this is one of them. The story took place in 1932 during the days of the Dust Bowl Depression. the Dust Bowl. In 1932, in parts of Kansas, Colorado, the panhandle of Texas, and Oklahoma, there were dust clouds, tornadoes, hurricanes on a daily basis. Almost some of these dust clouds were 10 miles high, blotting out the sun and the sky for days at a time. Imagine one of those bearing down on your clapboard house. It must have been a terrifying sight. People thought the world was ending. And as if that wasn't bad enough, it was also the height of the great financial depression, the mother of all depressions, as it's sometimes called, which began in 1929 with the crash on Wall Street. By 1932, about a quarter of the adult male population in the US was out of work. Hardest hit, as is so often the case, were the rural areas. And when the farmers lost their farms because they couldn't meet the mortgage payments anymore, when the interest payments had gone so high, when they were taken away by the bankers, the farmers just didn't know who they were anymore. They thought of themselves as farmers. They were farmers. That was their idea of themselves as men. Their farm had been in the family for generations, and when it was taken from them, they just didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to begin again. So they tended to give up quite often. But the women, they didn't give up. They couldn't afford to. They kept order in the house and food on the table, and they would keep the dust out of the house, which was very important because if it got into the lungs of the little children, it could kill them. And above all, the women helped to inspire the men with faith, love, courage, and belief that tomorrow would be better than today. So I want to say thank you to the strong women of America for saving, excuse my language, our behinds so many times through history. Mothers, sisters, daughters, wives, there are a lot of them here tonight. This is my song based on a true story. It concerns a poor family who made their way across America on foot during the days of the Dust Bowl. It sounds like a John Steinbeck story, but it actually took place for real. This is my song based upon that true story. This is called Days of Mercy.
Daddy lost his job one day when he wouldn't take a cut in pay. He couldn't find another place, even one that paid him less. So he settled into his easy chair with his dog-eared magazines until the bank took back our house. While my mama always screamed when she was a little girl. She had a dream she found a pearl hidden in the pocket of her pants, but the pants were full of holes, and when she walked the pearl was gone. She was only 6 years old. Hold on tight, my mama said, keep your eyes upon the sun, put your faith in the road ahead. The days of mercy will surely come. But when the world is blown apart in the eye of a hurricane, let strength and courage fill your hearts. Days of mercy will come again. So we sold up all we owned. We headed east in a touring car. We found a place with a plot of land down in windy Arkansas. And Daddy worked on a lady's farm, but my mama heard it said he didn't work that lady's fields as much as he worked her bed. So she packed a cardboard case with a single change of clothes and took the baby on her hip and told us all to follow close. And we began the long walk home to the California coast. Hold on tight, my mama said, and keep your eyes upon the sun. Put your faith in the road ahead. The days of mercy will surely come. But when the world is blown apart in the eye of a hurricane, let strength and courage fill your hearts. Days of mercy will come again. In the heat of the Oklahoma sun, my mama led me to a stream and dipped a cloth to bathe my head. We walked all through New Mexico, and in a migrant workers' camp I learned all there was to know about the kindness of the poor and all the children dressed in rags. They gave us everything they had, bags of sweets with ready smiles, fresh tortilla around the fire in the huts of rusty iron. When the baby started crying, hold on tight, my mama said, and keep your eyes upon the sun. Put your faith in the road ahead. The days of mercy will surely come. When the world is blown apart in the
eye of a hurricane, let strength and courage fill your hearts. Days of mercy will come again. So we finally reached LA, beside a lake in Lincoln Park. A man was standing all alone, throwing crumbs to feed the ducks. When are you gonna take those children home? Asked the man, and my mama said, we just walked 2,000 miles, we'll make it yet with a little luck. And then the man just looked away, he said he guessed his turn had come. He pulled out $2 bills, enough to see us right, for a can of pork and beans and some shelter for the night. Hold on tight, my mama said, and keep your eyes upon the sun. Put your faith in the road ahead, the days of mercy will surely come. When the world is blown apart, in the eye of a hurricane, let strength and courage fill your hearts. Days of mercy will come again. And my mama said, keep your eyes upon the sun, put your faith in the road ahead, the days of mercy will surely come. Oh, when the world is blown apart, in the eye of a hurricane, let strength and courage fill your hearts. Days of mercy will come again. Oh, and my mama said, keep your eyes upon the sun, put your faith in the road ahead, days of mercy will surely come. When the world is blown apart, in the eye of a hurricane, let strength and courage fill your hearts. Days of mercy will come again. Thanks, people. Appreciate it. So I thought I'd do something quite different now. Do a couple of instrumentals. While I was on lockdown at home in 2020, I wanted to try and broaden my musicianship. Rather than just standing still or going backwards as a musician, I wanted to try and make progress. One of the ways I thought of doing that was to learn some classical pieces. So now I can actually give a whole classical recital, about an hour's worth of classical pieces, which I do every month on Facebook. So if you'd like to join me one month on Facebook, you'll listen to some classical pieces. So I'm going to start with one. This is a J.S. Bach piece, but don't worry, his Bach is worse than his bite. Yeah. They get worse, by the way, the jokes get. And then the second piece is one of my own tunes. So the Bach piece is Jesu Joy of Man's Desire, as arranged by Leo Kottke. Then I'm going to go straight into one of my own tunes, which is called I'll Never Tire of Looking in Your Eyes, back to back as a medley. So what I'm essentially doing here is pairing one of my pieces with a piece by one of the greatest composers who ever lived. So, be generous in your listening. Jesu Joy of Man's Desire, followed by I'll Never Tire of Looking in Your Eyes.
so much, everybody. Thank you so much. These are Loudon guitars, if you're interested, made in Belfast. And they're very much top-end guitars. You can't pick them up in just any guitar store. So I told you I wasn't going to tune up on stage, but I'm going to do that now. I hope you don't mind. I can't avoid it with this particular tune. I want to tell you about my wife's non-profit. She's the CEO and executive director of a non-profit. And the joke that we have is that she runs a non-profit and makes more money than I do. Well, all musicians are non-profit in the sense that we're not in it for the money, that's for sure. I make a living, but, you know, any musician who gets into it for the money is deluding his or herself. But my wife's non-profit exists to help young kids, mostly girls, but some boys, who are struggling with their sense of personal identity. Maybe they don't like the way that they look. Maybe they weigh too much. Maybe they weigh too little. Maybe they have anorexia or bulimia and awkward relationships with food. Maybe they're struggling with their gender identity. Maybe they want to change. Maybe they don't want to change, but their peers are telling them that they need to change to fit in with the group. Well, my wife goes into the schools and she tells these young kids that they're beautiful just as they are, and they don't need to change. And she encourages them to realize their beauty, and her organization is called Realize Your Beauty. So I envisaged a little fairy tale about a young girl who lived on a desert island where there were no social media, no Twitter and no Facebook. No one ever came to visit her on her desert island, but she decided she was going to make it a beautiful place. So this is called The Ballad of a Brown-Eyed Girl.
She was a young girl with eyes of brown, lived 3 days all alone on an island where the wind and the rain made a pitiful sound, and the sun and the sea endlessly pound the rocks on the shore and the white sand. On the first day she wrote with a stick in the sand words of welcome to all passing sailors. But as evening fell on the very same day, the tide coming in washed her words away, while the light of the moon grew paler. On the second day she stood at her window and sang a beautiful song to the morning. But no one was there on her island to hear, and the beautiful song that she sang disappeared in the sound of the rain that kept falling. On the third day she woke and she planted the seed of a rose that would bloom in her garden. But the sun beats down and it withered the rose, for she'd chosen a place where no river flows, in a land that never gives pardon. And though none ever read what she wrote in the sand, or heard what she sang from her window, though the rose that she planted died in her hand, for 3 days the cruel world was a lovelier land, for the brown-eyed girl had made it so. She was a young girl with eyes of brown, lived 3 days all alone on an island where the wind and the rain make a pitiful sound, and the sun and the sea endlessly pound the rocks on the shore and the white sand.
Thanks so much, everybody. I'd like to play some songs from my new CD now. The CD was released in February of this year. It's called For the People. Where did that phrase come from? Well, in the run-up to the 2020 election, we kept hearing that phrase, by the people, of the people, for the people. What a beautiful phrase. And of course, it comes from the Gettysburg Address. When I first heard people talk about the Gettysburg Address, I thought they meant Lincoln's Hotel, you know, where he was staying. He gave his address. No, I'm joking. Anyway, so the phrase comes from the Gettysburg Address, of the people, by the people, for the people. And I thought, what a wonderful, beautiful, significant, timeless phrase that is. So what music would go with that phrase? Of the people, by the people, for the people? Well, it's folk music, isn't it? By definition, folk music is music of the people, by the people, for the people. So I decided to go back to my own roots in English, specifically English folk music. And I mentioned the fact that I like CDs to have a governing theme, an idea and sound. So my new CD is very much a compendium of old English folk stories set to modern music, in other words, to my music. So it's a kind of meeting of traditional and contemporary, I hope. And it's been very well received. It's been played on the radio a lot and here and in Europe and done quite well, had some good reviews. So let me give you some songs from my new CD. For the People. Now, England being an island, a lot of the folk stories that you read are about the sea, the beauty of the sea, the cruelty of the sea, the mystery of the sea. So this is based on some old English folk tales. None in particular, just imagery from generic English folk tales. And I call this To the Sea.
Can you tell me where my true love lies? What's that to me? What's that to me? Did she pass by on her morning ride? Follow the river to the sea. Were there wildflowers in her chestnut hair? What's that to me? What's that to me? It was for my sake she then did wear. Follow the river to the sea. There she waits on the sun-warmed sands while the waves rise and fall, where the old ruined castle stands and silence gazes from its walls. There she'll watch as the sailors make land, each with treasures galore. They will show her the pearls in their hands that they have brought from distant shores, that in time to come she'll not grow old. What's that to me? What's that to me? For a rusty coin she'll trade her soul. Follow the river to the sea. Can you tell me where my sweetheart lies? What's that to me? What's that to me? Did you hear her sing as she passed by? Follow the river to the sea. Follow the river to the sea. Follow the river to the sea.
Thank you. So here's another song based on an old English folktale with a nautical theme. Nautical. If you go to the southwest part of England, Devon, Cornwall, Dorset, talk to the local people in the pub, they will tell you that you must look out to sea at sunset, and you are sure to lay eyes on a mermaid, a beautiful half-fish, half-woman, mysterious creature of the deep. And if you are a seafaring person, you must be very nice to mermaids. So next time you meet a mermaid, remember, be nice to her, because she is in league with the moon, and the moon, of course, controls the tides. So be nice to the next mermaid that you meet. This particular mermaid is trying to get home to her cave under the sea, but she can't get there because a ship has anchored with its anchor over the mouth of her cave, so she's unable to return home, and she's begging the captain of the ship to weigh anchor, to raise his anchor so she can get home to her babies. Maybe a fictional tale, but this is my song based upon it. This is called O Captain, O Captain.
Oh Captain, weigh anchor, I pray, for I may not return home till your anchor be raised. If you like my silvery tail, if you like my bright fishy scales, and my hair much lighter than the breeze, let me show you how thankful I can be. Hear my loved ones calling to me from a home deep under the sea. Draw your anchor from the ocean floor, where it lies now blocking my door. Oh Captain, weigh anchor, I pray, for I may not return home till your anchor be raised. My young ones are hungry in their lonely cave, or let not their watery home be their grave. My husband below, he is one of your kind, and his voice is sweeter than wine. I tempted him as I lay on the sand, and that same day he gave me his hand. Now each evening you may hear us sing to the moon and her sister the wind. They will send you calm and friendly seas if you'll grant this favor to me. Oh Captain, weigh anchor, I pray. I beg you, let me go on my way. Have pity on this comely maid, for I may not return home till your anchor shall be weighed.
Thanks, people. So one of the oldest of English folk tales is the story of the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. It was a kind of Masonic lodge of knights in the prehistoric British Isles. And the idea of the Round Table was that to become a member of the Round Table as a knight, you had to pass certain tests of chivalry and manhood. And King Arthur himself had to pass a test. He was riding along the road one day on his charger, on his steed, his horse, and he came across an elderly woman in the road, and she proved to be a sorceress. And she sprang out and waved a bony finger at him and said, "King Arthur, you must find the answer to the question, what is it that women most want?" And then she vanished in a puff of smoke. So poor old King Arthur has to find the answer to the question, which no one knows the answer to, least of all me. What is it that women most want? So off he goes in search of the answer to that question. I decided to write a song based loosely on that old story. Then I'm going to go into a second song, a kind of a medley. In the second song, I'm taking the point of view of a lady who's just been jilted at the altar by her faithless husband, and he's gone off to live with a beautiful Spanish lady with olive skin and almond eyes and dark ringlets, and she understandably is distressed about that. So these are two songs on the theme of ladies. What is it that ladies most want, and how do they act, and what do they say when they don't get what they want? So here we are, two songs with the theme of ladies. This is All Fair Ladies, followed by Spanish Galleon.
Tell me, ladies, much admired, ask and we will answer you. Name the thing you most desire, ask and we will answer true. Shall it be a diamond for a ring? Must I be a pauper or a king? Tell me if you can what I must bring, a lady fair, for my lady's love to win. Will she care for pomp and state? Ask and we will answer you. Plump young fowl to fill her plate, ask and we will answer true. Shall it be a diamond or a pin? Must I be a pauper or a king? Tell me if you can what I must bring, a lady fair, for my lady's hand to win. Will my riches turn her head? Yes, but they'll not reach her heart. Will she prize good sport in bed? Yes, but you must learn the art. Be thou lord or prince or knave, so say all fair ladies. When you're schooled in what she craves, so say all fair ladies. Let your lady have her will, then your cup of joy shall be filled. If no other thing you bring, your lady fair, you your lady's heart shall win. Let your lady have her will, then your cup of joy shall be filled. If no other thing you bring, your lady fair, you your lady's heart shall win. You your lady's heart shall win. Spanish galleon, I must make my way to the port of Cadiz. My true love is there and still wears my medallion, for I am worth more than that lady of his. How much should I pay you to grant me the passage? A poor maid I am, little money have I. His lady is rich and she rides in a carriage, and she has bewitched him with dark Spanish eyes. Oh, take me aboard your fine Spanish galleon, I must make my way to the port of Cadiz. My true love is there and still wears my medallion, for I am worth more than that lady of his. I know he will love me again when I find him, for he bears my image yet close to his heart. No more will her jewels and her finery blind him, no more will she practice her poisonous art. Oh, take me aboard your fine Spanish galleon, I must make my way to the port of Cadiz. My true love is there and still wears my medallion, I am worth more than that lady of his. I am worth so much more than she knew of his.
so much. Appreciate it. I'd like to do just a straightforward love song now. Is there anybody here who doesn't like love songs? Let us know what a sad person you are. A love song. This is about one of my newest songs. It's about a month old. It's called If I Ran to You.
If I ran to you, would you lead me all the way to your door? And if I called your name, would you feed me all I needed and more? If I loved you as the sea loves the shore. And if I lose my way, would you guide me? Would you hold out your hand? When they're hunting me, would you hide me from the lure of the land? If I loved you as the sea loves the sand. When the world is burning, when the world is turning me upside down, although you may be far from me, where you are to me shall be my ground, my solid ground. When I open my eyes, will I see you? Would you stand by my side? Will you be here when the water's dry? When the world is burning, when the world is turning me upside down, although you may be far from me, where you are to me shall be my ground, my solid ground. And if I ran to you, would you lead me all the way to your door? If I loved you as the sea loves the shore. If I ran to you, would you open your door? So much. In my CD for the people, I wanted to do some songs based with a background of the First World War, 1914 to 1918. It's a great open wound in English popular memory because we just threw away the cream of a generation for no discernible purpose that I can see. Second World War was different, had to be fought, but the First World War, there was no reason, rhyme or reason to it. So it's a great wound, you know, in popular memory in England, and I wanted to write some songs with that background for my CD for the people. I came across a wonderful story, true story. If you go to a pub near London called the Bricklayer's Arms and look up at the ceiling, you will see some silver coins nailed to the beam of that pub. So ask the landlord, what are those silver coins doing in your ceiling? And he will tell you that on the eve of the First World War, 1914, the young men of that village came to the pub, dressed in their soldiers' uniforms, of which they were so proud, and they each man produced from his pocket a florin, which was a silver coin worth about 10 English pennies, quite a lot of money in those days, and they said, here is a florin, we're going to nail it to the beam, and when I come home from the war, as I surely will do by Christmas, we'll reclaim the florin, and we'll buy drinks for the house. So that's what they did. So 110 years later, you go to the pub, look up at the ceiling, you'll see all the nail holes in the ceiling, which represent all the young men who did come home to reclaim their florin
25 silver coins from that village alone are still waiting to be picked up by the young men who left them there, who are never coming home. And that is their war memorial, those silver coins nailed to the beam of the pub. Well, I had to write a song about that. So on Memorial Day of last year, when we're thinking about veterans, I wrote this particular song. And if there are any veterans in the room here tonight, and I'm sure there are several, this is for you. This is called A Florin to the Beam. A florin, of course, is an English coin worth about 10 pennies. A florin to the beam.
Drink up and dry your eyes, nail a florin to the beam with the old bricklayer's arms and leave it there for all to see. Drink up and dry your eyes, and on the day when I come home, it will buy a high old time for you and me. Promise me that you'll remember me in every letter that you send to me. This war will never make an end of me, as long as you are still a friend to me. Drink up and dry your eyes, and nail a florin to the beam with the old bricklayer's arms and leave it there for all to see. Drink up and dry your eyes, and on the day when I come home, it will buy a high old time for you and me. If I never see your eyes again, that coin will be the one you never spend. No black rings notice in the times for me. One silver penny will do fine for me. Drink up and dry your eyes, and nail a florin to the beam with the old bricklayer's arms and leave it there for all to see. Drink up and dry your eyes, and on the day when I come home, it will buy a high old time for you and me. We'll have a high old time, wait and see.
Very much. So we've got time for a couple more songs this evening. I want to say several thanks. I'd like to say thanks to Jay for running the sound. Thanks, Jay. Also, Paul for inviting me to come and play for you this evening, and his lovely wife, Karen, because they're going to be putting me up later on. Thank you. Also to the church for letting us come and use this beautiful space, such a beautiful room to play in. Thank you to the church, and lastly, thank you to you all for being here and supporting live music. Thank you. So when I look back on my life, when the time comes, I often wonder, will I feel that I did the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? Was I justified? And this is called Justified.
Take me home and take me now from the place where I hid. Take me home, only let me know if I was justified in what I did. Free my hands and free my soul. You will see me rise and fly. Take me home, only let me know if I was justified in your eyes. Well, I was so much younger then. I was blinded by pride, and I flew too near the sun again. Was it justified when so many cried? Lay me down and lay me low. Take me now, my time has come. Take me home, only let me know. Was I justified in what I've done? Take me home and take me now from the place where I hid. Take me home, only let me know. Was I justified in what I did? Was I justified in what I did? Was I justified in what I did? Much. It's been a pleasure to play for you this evening, everybody. Please come out and support live music whenever you can. Come back to Granite City Folk and also to the house concerts that Paul organises. Musicians need you now more than ever, so please bear that in mind. The way to support music these days is to come to a live show. I think it was Brian Wilson or Mike Love, one of the Beach Boys anyway, who said memorably that music is one of the very few occasions in life when there are people working together for a common goal. Usually in human interaction, there's some element of conflict and competition, but when musicians make music, they are working in harmony by definition. And that's why it's so good for us to play music and to listen to music. It's good for all of us, and I want it to be here for our children, my children, your children, for all our children. So let's make sure that music is still here in generations to come. The way to do that is to come to a show near you, like you did this evening. So we're in a sacred place, and this is a song that I wrote some years ago for some friends of mine who were going through a hard time. It's called Prayer. So let's think about people we know and love who might be in need of a prayer tonight. There's always too many. So this is called Prayer, and it goes out for everybody tonight who doesn't have a prayer. Here's to you, here's to me, here's to all we've ever seen, to all to come and all that's been. Here's to all we ever shared, to our fathers and to our heirs, to all people everywhere. When they haven't got a prayer. Here's to the young and here's to the old, to the body and to the soul, to all whose stories are still untold. Here's to the lightness and here's to the weight, to the crooked and to the straight, to all who die too soon or were born too late. Here's to our enemies and here's to our friends, to the river that never ends. Here's to the sinners and here's to the born again. Here's to the black and here's to the white, to the left and to the right. Here's to the evening and here's to the morning light, coming into sight. To the rich and to the poor, here's to the sea and here's to the shore. Here's to all people everywhere. When
they haven't got a prayer, when they haven't got a prayer, when they haven't got a prayer, when they haven't got a prayer, when they haven't got a prayer. Here's to the cock, and here's to the priest, to the west and to the east. Here's to all they bring to the feast. Here's to the lion and here's to the lamb. Here's to the beast and the heart of man. Here's to the house on rock and the house on sand. Here's to the heart and to the head, to the living and to the dead. Here's to the joy and to the tears we shed. Here's to the first and here's to the last, to the future and to the past. Here's to all who've ever raised their glass. Anytime we asked, to the moon and to the sun, to all we've lost and all we've won. Here's to all people everywhere. When you haven't got a prayer, 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 when you haven't got a prayer.
Thanks so much, I appreciate it. There's nothing like a lovely audience, and you're nothing like a lovely audience subject. Look, I'm going to do one more song, but I'm going to spare my voice because my voice has just got a little bit tired the last couple of days. Been doing about 20 hours of driving and singing 4 or 5 hours, just takes it out of my voice. So I might just do an instrumental for you. This is written by Leo Kottke, one of his tunes from his first CD, which is called 6 and 12-string Guitar, released in 1968 or 69, I think. So look, the next time you see Leo Kottke, who I believe is from Minnesota, by the way, yeah, will you tell him, will you call him on the way he's been ripping off my style? He was doing it even before I was born. This is called The Fisherman by Leo Kottke. so kind. I'll give you one more little song. Once again, thanks everybody for being here. Coming out and supporting live music. If you'd like to follow me on Facebook, please do that. I do a monthly recital of classical tunes every month. Bach, Mozart, flamenco, Edward Elgar, all different kinds of stuff. Please go to my website as well, which is rupertwatesmusic.com. I come through Minnesota at least twice a year, usually in June and in the fall, so I'll be back in October. If you'd like to come to another show, it'd be great to see you. So please follow me on Facebook and go to my website and find out where I'm playing. And be safe. Everybody stay safe, stay well, stay healthy. It's still a hazardous world for all of us. Remember your loved ones and all your friends and take care for their sake as much as for your own. And here's hoping that we will meet again, here, there, or everywhere, as Paul McCartney said, or a little further down the road. So this is my song called Further Down the Road.
When thorny darkness comes to chew my bones, and when I stumble on the rocks and stones, and I see a fire ahead that guides me home, and further down the road. And as I walk towards the blaze of light that calls me like a siren day and night, it's always at the very edge of sight, and further down the road, further down the road, gleams the promise of the happiness we're owed. Further down the road, love surely waits there where the fire still glows. When time has closed on all we've done and said, when all that's left of me is dust instead, and think only that I've gone some way ahead, and further down the road, further down the road, gleams the promise of the happiness we're owed. Further down the road, love surely waits there where the fire still glows. When thorny darkness comes to chew your bones, and when you're lost and scared and all alone, and I light a fire ahead to guide you home, and further down the road, a little further down